The first day of middle school is, well, to say the least, it's interesting because you have these outrageous expectations thinking that, well, middle school is going to be completely different from elementary school, which a lot of kids think they'll get more freedom, they'll get more respect, and teachers will let them do whatever they want to do. Well, I'm sorry to break your hearts on this one, but that is entirely farther from the truth. Now, sure, you may get some freedom. You may be allowed to go in the bathroom on your own without having to line up in a line and go use the bathroom. But other than that, it's kind of simple and the same. But we all had these same expectations as you did as soon as we moved in. We were shortly disappointed, but not only with that, but with what happened. So, our first period and our first day was kind of rough. I couldn't really find any of the rooms considering, well, compared to my elementary school, this place was, well, a maze. I eventually found my first period, which was history. Um, I was a fan of history, to say the least, but once we walked in, of course, we got that obligatory rule book, which more was like a rule binder at that point. Then we got introduced to our teacher, which was, well, her name was Tammy Lutz. The reason why I remember her so much is, well, just to the fact that she really was desperate in finding a husband. She wrote on the board, "No, I am not married." And she always kept asking us when we were supposedly having our parent school day or something like that, where we brought our dads to school, and she would always hang around them, especially my dad. She was really interested in him. But, anyways, to say the least, gym period was next. And, well, at that time, I was not really in the best of shape. I was chubby for my age. Of course, when gym was coming up, well, we had basketball, we had ultimate frisbee. Ultimate frisbee was by far the best in my situation because really I stayed in the same place and did not move. We also had volleyball and basketball, and I kind of wrote on the sign where death was born because I really was not a fan of gym. But I decided to skip gym the first day, which surprisingly they let me. I just got a bathroom pass and told them, well, I wasn't really feeling that good. So, well, I got to skip the entire gym period, which surprised me. But during the whole time, I kept hearing a bunch of noise coming from the gymnasium, which really shocked me. I was like, well, how are there so many things going on? I was really accustomed to elementary school where we were confined to doing one thing at a time. There wasn't no options of playing basketball, volleyball, ultimate frisbee, multiple things at the same time. That was a freedom aspect that I really wasn't used to, which I was okay with. I actually, in the future years, just ended up reading books, which is kind of boring. But that day was kind of a shocker. An alarm went off, which apparently I was not excused. Everyone in the gymnasium went to the locker room, which they were all scared because they had no clue what was going on. Eventually, the alert came back on inside the locker room, and everyone was so afraid because this was the first day. I mean, is this supposed to be a drill or what was it? I was in the bathroom at the time, but from what my friend was texting me, the school was on lockdown. There was a school shooter inside of our school, and I just couldn't describe my feelings at that time. I felt like my heart dropped as that alert went off. My friend was, well, he was safe, to say the least. They were inside the gymnasium, which had two locks on the door. It's pretty much impossible to get in. So I had my phone at the time. I decided to look if there were any post or video streams via Twitch upon this active school shooter, which to my surprise, there was a video stream. And what I saw was absolutely terrifying. I never thought in my entire school career I would ever see a school shooting. I never thought I could see the amount of pure hatred coming from someone where they would just murder kids for no reason. I was scared for my life because at the time of seeing this stream, I realized it was the school shooter streaming this shooting. I don't know if he was a psychopath. To this day, I still do not know what was the cause of this mass murdering. But what really was terrifying is what he said. Stay away from me. Which I was puzzled with. I was like, we are not coming to you. What is the whole reminiscence of this thought? I was terrified at this time. I was currently reading a book while in the locker stall. I know it's kind of lame, but this was terrifying to me to say the least. I was extremely scared and extremely worried, and I just didn't know what to do. So I decided just to hide out in the bathroom because I was too scared to go out in the hallway. I heard massive gunshots and I was just not willing to go out that door, which some of y'all may make fun of me for that. But at that time, I'm telling you, when it's happening right in front of your face, you really are panicked and have no idea what to do. So I locked myself in locker, well, not locker, it was potty number 1. Don't ask me why our school put that there. I guess it was just to make it embarrassing to go to the bathroom and skip. I really do not know the purpose or intention of doing this. So I was in potty number 1 and I was freaked out. I had my legs up so no one could see me under the stall, but every single second I heard a gunshot, my heart kept sinking. But then the door slammed open and I was freaked out. My phone ended up going off. My mother was calling me, freaking out, hearing the news that there was an active school shooter at the school. She was trying to see if I was okay because I didn't respond to any of her texts she sent me. Of course, I didn't realize this. I wasn't checking my phone at all. I was hiding and afraid for my life. But what he said even left me more terrified that I possibly cannot even describe to you. He said, I know you are in here. And I was like, does he know where I'm at? Does he know where I'm at? I silenced my phone super quickly, considering I was freaking out at this time. I was just wondering, what did I do to deserve this to happen to me? Was I ever going to see my family again? I was in tears, but I was holding myself together so the killer did not know that I was in there, at least not in potty number 1. I was just wondering, how am I supposed to keep calm? Is this the last time I was ever going to see this earth? Would I ever do anything different if I was to live tomorrow? All these thoughts were running through my head, pulsing. I was waiting for a savior. I was waiting for someone to come out and tell me everything was going to be okay. But that is not what I heard. There were 4 shots that directly shot in my stall. Thankfully, none of them hit me. Being a chubby kid, that has to be the most fortunate and blessed thing I've ever experienced in my life. For not a single one of those shots hit me. And then I heard another 4 rounds go into the other potty stall. But the killer was distracted. The intercom came on, saying the police has arrived on the scene. I was so thankful to hear this, and I was hoping they would just be barging in at that moment. But that was just being me being optimistic. The police over the loudspeaker announced, await further instructions. I was so terrified. I was just hoping he would panic and run away, which he did. But on the way to the exit, he was greeted by a firefighter and a policeman. At that point, you can just guess from what happened from there. The killer got what was coming towards him. Because some people may say that was cruel, but telling you at that time, you would feel no mercy upon anyone who have done this to you. The killer was eventually identified. It was a student at our own school. It terrified me, for I didn't even know this kid. His name was Clark Reeb. I had no clue who this kid was. I thought he was a transfer, but to this day, I still do not know. Sadly, he was pronounced dead on scene, could not serve any justice, but man, this by far has to be the scariest experience I've ever had in my life. I will never, ever, ever put my kids through another public school system again. For what I've experienced, no kid should have experienced. In this subject, this is Nate calling out from Night Bear MVP.